Всем привет, с вами Максим, мы играем в Stanley Parable. В прошлом видео я начал в нее играть, я говорил, что серии будет чуть побольше. Ну, я хочу просто поиграть эту игру, она меня увлекла как бы, ну давайте начнем, продолжим. Окей.
This is the story of a
Я слышал эту историю уже. Я не знаю,
All of
это
his
будет
co-workers were gone. What did
совсем
it
сначала
mean?
или нет?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Да, я, пожалуй, в этой серии части пойду теперь не прямо, как в прошлый раз, а я теперь хочу пройти в Escape. Или вниз.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Как мне говорили, вот внизу там какой-то бесконечный просто проход. Я вот не знаю, правда. Не пробовал как бы, но я попробую, конечно. Так. Я не помню
Stepping into his manager's
цифры.
office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Не, ну в принципе я могу пройти еще раз игру, но я что-то не хочу. Вот по идее сейчас нам вниз надо, да? А потом будет 2 выхода. В прошлый раз. В прошлый раз я играл, да?
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Вот, теперь я могу... Стоп. Это что-то... точно.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ой, интересно, что будет.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Смерть. Смерть? Или жизнь? Или же смерть? Окей. Окей. Я лечу. Оу. Это что-то интересное.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is.
Я же могу
Perhaps
сделать
his
вроде
death
вот
was
так
of
вот, да?
memory loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
О, нет.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator. As Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Эм, я умер же, нет? Я установил как. А, типа говорят, что я умер, и его кости разломались и так далее.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Окей. Ой, это что такое?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit
О,
start?
офис. Это как бы офис Стэнли. Вот сюда вот я иду, да. Вот сюда. The two doors. Set of the two doors. Ага, круто. Так. Офис. Вау. Кстати, вот это похоже на Team Fortress. Не знаю, что в Team Fortress, но там точно была такая кнопка. А, не в Team Fortress, в Портале точно. Точно, в Портале. Я помню, была такая кнопка, которую нажимаешь, и у нее такой же звук был просто. Офис. Даже не пойти-то. О, это что это? Это Warzone. Не, мне сюда не надо. Так, что это? Это музей Стэнли, это просто здорово. Ага, ну ладно. Так, вот сейчас мне, я не знаю, выход надо, что ли, найти какой-то. Так. О, 427. Это же его комната, да? Да. О, это что такое? Это что такое? Game Design Mockup. Ага, круто. О, это что такое? Я хочу нажать. Motion Room Elevator. Стэнли. А, я могу туда сходить, да? Да, могу. Ладно, я пойду сюда. Exit. Exit.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
On. Off.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Окей.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now. It'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for
А, я могу сделать меню мне, как меня просит. Может, я ачивку получу. Ну, мне интересно, что будет дальше. Ладно, я не знаю.
you. Don't let time
Оу. Окей. Оу. Что происходит? Что происходит? Я могу нажать, как бы, да? Ну ладно. Давайте еще раз начнем. Теперь я пойду вниз. Вниз надо
All of
пойти.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Но с другой стороны, я могу
When
пройти
Stanley
еще раз
came to
игру.
a set of 2 open doors,
Ладно.
he entered the door on his left.
Ох, как я могу. О,
Yet there was not
одной
a
рукой
single person
вообще.
here either.
Так,
Feeling
нет.
a wave of disbelief,
Так, что-то я
Stanley
запутался.
decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase,
Так, я
Stanley
хочу
walked upstairs
вместе
to his boss's office.
А я вниз пошел.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Yeah.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared.
Wow.
It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Wow.
How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
Вот так вот.
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Huh.
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Грустно как-то. Алло. Лол.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? and everything went black.
Oh. Oh.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Окей, это было здорово. Опа!
Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Oh. Okay.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that
Стэнли
it
никогда
was.
не видел офис, оказывается. Он первый раз вышел в офис.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Я, наверное, пойду.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ну, то есть, если тебе все говорят, то что ты сделаешь все, что говорят тебе. Ничего себе! Тут можно, оказывается, пройти. Воу! Воу! Вау! То есть, если все делаешь, что ты говорят, то ты быстро сейчас пройдешь игру. Окей. А давайте я поеду наверх. Здорово. Чё? Поют та-та-та-та-та, Стэнли, та-та-та-та-та, Стэнли. Это странно, очень странно. И куда мы вообще едем? Какой-то подозрительный лифт. Надеюсь, он будет не такой же, как Mirror's Edge. Полчаса стоишь и ждешь, пока лифт приедет. Оу. Окей. Это странно. Странный лифт. Ау. Ладно. А что если сначала вот это? Потом вот это. Окей, этот лифт никуда нас не ведет. Ну ладно.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Окей, он говорит, он сделал все настолько быстро, что даже не дал рассказчику договорить. И дальше он немного расслабился и послушал музыку.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Окей. Ясно, ясно. Давайте еще раз вниз. Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту. Ладно. Теперь я постараюсь, то есть, пройти вперед. Да. Стэнли прошел через дверь. Теперь я попробую включить машину для контроля разума. Это будет интересно, я думаю.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself.
Давай.
Did he have the strength to find out?
Сейчас будут циферки.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced
Тут
to
же никого
images on
нету, что они
screen.
тут
And
говорят?
Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Так, куда? Куда мне сюда, да?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Yay.
No.
Поехали.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Нет, я, пожалуй, туда останусь.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then?
На пейзажи реальные, такие же, как в Портале. То есть вот такая же пропасть.
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button.
Ой-ой-ой, это же еще до времени.
Anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice.
Мне это не нравится. Тут, по идее, это таймер для твоей смерти.
And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
Бам. 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 Опять.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Окей. Этого не было раньше, мне кажется. Ага. Окей, это опять all random просто.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Нет.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Okay.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Да, я в прошлый раз, по-моему, сюда пошел, и теперь я хочу сюда. Или я сюда в прошлый раз пошел. Я просто не помню. По-моему, давайте сюда.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ага.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Значит, я хочу сюда.
What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it.
О, красная или синяя таблетка.
Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ага.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ага.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red... All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Oh.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a... Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a 1? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Oh. Окей. То есть мы не можем туда пройти.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Окей.
In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Да, хорошо.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out, I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Окей.
Well, Stanley, is this any better? At last, the one thing you've always desired. A game I had absolutely nothing to do with. But is it enough? Tell me that, Stanley. Will it ever be enough? Well, I'll say this. I'm done making things for you. From now on, I will only create to fulfill a greater artistic purpose.
Окей.
Watch this, Stanley. I'm going to build a house.
Что?
This will go here. No, here. And then... Let's see, what does it need? Yes, of course. And just to finish it all off, yes, it's complete. I made it, Stanley. Look at it. Gaze upon my work of art and feel ashamed at your own inadequacy.
Хороший троллинг,
But you've
хорош.
only seen it from the outside. You've only gotten half the experience. Please, step inside and make yourself comfortable.
А не пойти ли тебе? Блин, я хочу закрыть дверь. Тут даже прыгать нельзя. Кстати, трава тут не такая, как в Майнкрафте. И блоки, мне кажется, не такие, да. То есть блоки земли. А,
Isn't it grand? Isn't it perfect? It could only be better if... Wait, that's it. We must rebuild it out of diamond. Diamond everything. Yes, yes, yes. Come along, Stanley. We have to go mining.
пойдем копать. Стоп. Окей. Я бы хотел обойти это нафиг. Я не могу это обойти.
Oh my, it looks like it's going to get a bit dark. Have you brought a light?
Да ну. О, копать, ну, могу. Ну, уголь. Еще уголь. Да ну хреновый какой-то. И текстурки земли не такие.
No. This is far more open-ended than I had in mind. I'm looking for
Алмазы.
something more narrow and linear. Something that makes you feel utterly irrelevant. This won't do at all. 1 out of 5.
А?
Even the diamonds couldn't save this one. Okay, new game.
Окей, что за... Что за хрень вообще происходит? Что-то я не понял. Оу. О,
Yes! I don't even know what this game is, but I love it.
о,
You, trapped in a glass box with no way
я
out,
тоже люблю эту
listening
игру.
to me talk. Oh, it's inspired. I couldn't have done it any better
А где
myself.
дверь?
What is this
А,
game
вот
even
она.
supposed to be? I can't figure it out. Okay, now I'm curious. Let's go find out what the hell this is.
О, и радио даже такое же. О, ни хрена себе. О, обалдеть. Нет, я хочу радио взять. Оу, е. Не, ну это здорово, мне кажется.
Oh, it's a puzzle. Critical thinking, Stanley. Your forte.
Охренеть! Вот эта игра, слушайте.
Genius. No, actually, you know what? I think that's plenty. I really don't care much to see you stumble through anymore.
Е-ха-ха! Вау. Вау. Мне всегда было интересно, что... А! Окей. Это все, что ли, да? Что я не понял. Так, что я совсем не понял. Так. Ам. Ам. Не, ну я думаю, это все, типа, это все просрал, типа. Истории дальше не будет. Ну, блин, мне с Майнкрафтом и с Порталом это вообще суперски получилось. Так что ждите следующую серию. И подписывайтесь на канал, ставьте пальцы вверх, оставляйте комментарии под видео. Всем пока и удачи.